Hi, again, I'm Lyle Johnson, the host of Moose Jaw This Week, and we're here. What's this? It's the W.J. Jones and Son Funeral Home Company, but what's this facility called that we're in?
We're in the Crescent Park Event Center.
Crescent Park Event Center, and with Della Ferguson, who has a very strong title, but what it basically means to me is someone who listens and cares when you have some problems in life. Is that pretty good what you do?
I'm a grief support worker, so yes, walking people, companioning people through grief journey, and I do the group facilitation and funeral celebrant. Yeah.
And of course, in recent times, there's been the event that took place up at Humboldt, or by Humboldt, where the hockey team was devastated, and it of course has far-reaching impacts around not just that community, but around the world, and particularly in Moose Jaw, because some of those players had been connected with here, and over the years there are many people from Moose Jaw who are connected. So you get to help those people, because it's a very awkward and tough time, because they're not used to that. You're not used to grieving. Because it's not something you practice.
Yeah, we try not to have to, right? But you're exactly right, Lyle. I've found, and we've observed as a whole team at Jones's, that it has really triggered people. It has resonated deeply on so many levels. People are identifying with this tragedy, and it's whether it's that they're connected as a relationship directly, or is it they feel connected because either they or their family have traveled a bus on a sports team or with an event. There's connections. We're a small province and we're so closely connected. And so I don't think there's a person I've talked to that hasn't got some direct connection. And so it's resonating deeply. And I have found of anyone it's resonating deeply with, it's people who are already bereaved parents. It's resonating with all parents, but those who have already entered that club no one wants to be a part of being a bereaved parent, it's rocking their worlds. Because what it does is it takes that scar and that pain and it opens it up wide. And they have this deep understanding of what it's like. None of us know what's going on for these bereaved people, but they have an understanding, and they know that right now it is so raw that there's absolutely nothing that will fix that pain. Yeah. There is nothing. And so that it's resonating deeply. And so we, in fact, the other night had a program with Susan Razula from here in our community to speak directly to emotional first aid after a trauma, because we wanted to help our community have some tools, to cope with this. We found even people, as they came to sign at the funeral home on our messages of love sheets, that person after person had a story of how they were reacting, and there was some big grief responses. Some of them, it was a very physical response. Some of it was mostly the emotional response. Some of it, it's a mental anguish. And so we really feel strongly about wanting to encourage people for self-care and to reach out and not isolate themselves in this, and to acknowledge the fact that this is a normal response to such a tragic affair, right? And it is natural that when we have those emotions evoked again, it brings up past stuff. And so we want to support people in dealing with that.
And of course, you touched on it. Like, some of the players have connections with family in Moose Jaw. They have connections with education. They went here. Some people from Moose Jaw have played or been part of that Humboldt Bronco team at some time. And as you said, it doesn't necessarily have to be the exact direct connection, but they all can empathize with riding the bus and going places and being with your buds and all that kind of thing. It's hard to grasp that happening, and so I think we're very fortunate to have people like yourself who are able to guide people, because you're right, it doesn't just stop. It's it's like it's there, and how you deal with there is the most important thing, because I was listening the other day on the radio, and they were talking about there's different stages to things, and it was like there's the shock, there's the reaction, and then there's but it will never go away. You don't get over it.
No.
You get through it.
Absolutely. And you know, I say that at support groups, we don't want to get over people, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to get over these people. What we do is we find ways to manage the intensity of the grief response and find well-being, so that it doesn't stop us from finding fullness in living. We don't want these tragedies to end our joy completely. It disrupts our life. It makes us think. And I think it's really important that we stop and think and pause. I like that word, pause. Pause and acknowledge. Acknowledge, don't avoid, don't numb. Pause, acknowledge, find a way to express with someone who is a trusted other, right? Mm-hmm. Someone that you really trust, that you can bear these thoughts with, and actions that help us to move forward. Some of it, there's adjustments we have to make maybe it's in our thinking, and maybe it's just in ways we do things. And I find tragedies like this, in that pause, often will leave us realizing the priorities and reassessing our priorities. And it's like taking that moment that I've been doing and sending my children love letters and saying, I don't take you for granted, and I don't want you to think I ever would, and our expressions of love are more forthcoming, because we realize life is fragile. That's what these things do, is they remind us how fragile life is, and so how to embrace it. And we do that honoring those people who have died. It is a way of honoring and saying, your life matters, and I'm going to carry you right here in my heart, and you've made a difference, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing our community has been doing beautifully, and that is ways of honoring the memory, ways of honoring those who are survivors, right? And we've come together, we've seen that locally, provincially, nationally, North America, right? We see it everywhere. And this outpouring, this coming together, and these rituals that are healing. Rituals are healing. Everything from those Warriors and Broncos, when they came together on the ice in that circle, right? To the sticks on the door front, to the Broncos on the back of shirts, to sending messages of love, to lighting candles. All these are rituals, and they're actions of honor. And that's another way we carry these precious people with us.
Yeah, I know that our hockey team all got stickers
Yes.
they put on their helmets. So, and one of the guys said, I think we should have these. And so we brought them, and everybody put them on. It was, it was a good thing. Yeah, a guy lives down the hall from me in my apartment block. He has his hockey stick outside his door, and he has a couple of candles, not lit, but set there. So I took my hockey stick in the other end, so we have both hallways covered. But
Isn't that
yeah, you're
beautiful?
right. It's important. It's important for you to share that, but it's important for people to know as well that somebody else is with them too.
There's a solidarity, and one of the challenges is sometimes we have this tendency to isolate, and that doesn't serve us well. Because when we get isolated, we can get into some stinky thinking, some unhealthy thinking. And so when we have solidarity, then we're in community. And there's something about this sense of belonging that serves us really well, and being with others, and that's really a healthy choice. And it's symbolic, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, the outpouring financially has been phenomenal. As we're taping, the website is just closing, and it's over $12 million that they have to be able to share to support the families of the people involved, and that's a wonderful thing.
Well, Absolutely. It's said that action is an antidote to despair. And so all of these actions are our way of dealing with the despair. And what a healthy, productive way to act, right? Making a difference. The outpouring of blood donors, I've heard.
And organ donors.
And organ donors and finances. Yeah, so many ways people have reached out. And so that serves our heart. That's one of the coping mechanisms, is to reach out and do something for another. And that heals our heart in the process.
Della, this has been great, and I appreciate you taking time, because you're a busy lady on a normal day.
Yeah.
And in these last few weeks, it's been a busy time for people. But I want to thank you for sharing your thoughts about coping, and helping people who are watching maybe understand some of the feelings that they're having, and also that know that there are people doing things.
Right on. Thank you for bringing this to light.
Okay. Thanks very much, and we'll see you again soon on Moose Jaw this week.